During this talk, you'll hear about the history of Children Change Colombia over the 30 years and how it came to be. We'll pay tribute to key people who have been supporters, including a volunteer, a donor, and a trustee, in addition to a testimony of someone that has benefited from the charity. There'll be a presentation on neglected issues in Colombia and about our projects. And please, should you have any questions, write them here in the chat and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Right now, I'm going to pass over to the chair of the directors, the trustees of Children Change Colombia, Carolina Giraldo. She's an independent consultant in sustainable development projects with a background in social development. Carolina is a dynamic chair of the trustees and is leading Children Change Colombia into a bright future in which we can all hope to improve the lives of so many at-risk and vulnerable children. Over to you, Carolina.
Thank you, Richard. Hola todos y todas. Welcome everyone to this online version of the Project Talk, which also serves as a celebration of the 30th anniversary of Children Change Colombia, also known as CCC. I want to start expressing my deep gratitude to the good-hearted people who got together in the first place back in 1991 in support of children of the Andes. Your legacy is very much alive and still inspiring many of us around the world. I also want to say a big thank you to all donors, individuals, and organizations that have generously contributed throughout these years so CCC can carry on collaborating with partners that are the change Colombia needs so desperately, in light of the recent events, quite possibly today more than ever. The world has witnessed, especially in the last few days, how our country still struggles in guaranteeing basic human rights. Thousands of young Colombians have marched courageously for a more inclusive society where people should be able to live freely with opportunities rather than surviving with resignation. We stand in the defense of the freedom to express oneself peacefully, respectfully. I also want to shine a light on all the team members in Colombia and in the UK of 2021 and from the past, of course, and to all volunteers and supporters whom I am not going to be able to mention individually, but that deserve the greatest appreciation and respect for the work they do. Not even a pandemic stopped your determination. You are an example and an inspiration to many. Thank you for standing strong. Finally, and most importantly, I want to express my admiration to the organizations in Colombia, CCC's partners, whose work we are looking at closely later on today, for showing us and proving that despite difficulties, weaving the social thread between people is possible. Thank you for creating alternative ways through the arts and sports in which children and their communities can discover how to be agents of change. As a society, we are forever in debt for your contribution. In its own way, your work is shaping a previous unimaginable Colombia by allowing many boys and girls to dream of a future where they can exist without fear and believe they are and can be the change for Colombia. Let us then today celebrate the past and the future of Children Change Colombia. Thank you all for being here. Now, I'd like to present to you our patron, Fernando Montaño, an award-winning Royal Ballet soloist and former judge on Colombia's Dancing with the Stars. Fernando has supported CCC for many years now, as he believes in giving opportunities to children so they can grow and get as far as their dreams take them.
Hi, my name is Fernando Montaño, and I'm so proud to be a patron of Children Change Colombia. This year, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the charity. Isn't it remarkable? 30 years of supporting kids in Colombia. This has been a very particularly challenging year for everyone around the world, but that didn't stop the commitment for Children Change Colombia to keep trying to support those kids back in Colombia. Of course, this wouldn't be possible without your support. So today, we want to say thank you very much. And let's just all try to celebrate this milestone. 30 years of Children Change Colombia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to patron Fernando Montaño for those words of support there. I'm going to hand over to the Executive Director of Children Change Colombia, Ángela María Carreño now, who will give you an overview of the charity's strategy for the coming years.
Thank you, Richard. Welcome, everyone. We are so happy to have you here. All the team have worked really hard to be able to present this project talk to all of you. And this is a really important project talk because this is our 30th anniversary, as Fernando mentioned. We have been working really hard, and because we have the opportunity to do it online, for first time in a project talk, we will have part of our staff in Colombia participating in the event, our trustee in Colombia attending the event, participating in the event too. And we have also our partners as guests in this event. So we are very happy to have you here. Also, I want to tell you that last year we launched our 5-year strategy, 2020-25 strategy. And there, after a thoughtful and rigorous process, we have selected the 3 neglected issues we are going to work in the following 5 years. And these are sexual and gender-based violence, exclusion from education, and prevention of forced recruitment and reintegration to society. We are going to, in the next minutes, present you all the projects we are working on these subjects, but we also have some cross-cutting issues as the pandemic, because now is a protected issue, children and young people on the move, because Colombia has one of the highest number of internal displaced people, and also migrants from Venezuela. And finally, the environment, because climate change is an issue that is affecting everyone. So before we continue, we want very proudly to show you the video that we have prepared that summarizes these 30 years of work. Please, let's go with the video.
In the morning, we've just left the sewers.
Colombia, 1990. The BBC broadcast a documentary about children living in the sewers of Bogota. A group of volunteers and donors in the UK gather and start a foundation called Children of the Andes in 1991. 30 years later, renamed Children Change Colombia, the foundation has transformed the lives of over 65,000 children and their families across the country.
We initially focused on helping children living in the sewers to leave the streets, providing shelter, clothes, food, and safety. Years later, we expanded our support to several grassroots organizations, tackling neglected issues affecting children across Colombia.
Throughout our first decade, we worked on peace building and youth initiative projects, provided humanitarian relief during the 1998 Colombian Coffee region earthquake, supported families experiencing forced displacement, and provided residential care and rehabilitation homes for girls who were survivors of sexual abuse.
Over the years, we continued helping orphaned and abandoned children with HIV. We supported children recovering from the trauma of witnessing war, helped a leadership program for children to become ambassadors of peace, and developed a child-led mine awareness program. In 2005, we opened our office in Colombia, working shoulder to shoulder with our local partners to provide technical support, training, and funding.
In the past decade, Children Change Colombia has focused its support in helping children with disabilities, preventing the sexual abuse of young girls, and implementing activities such as training youth leaders and providing psychosocial support.
To reflect our mission of empowering children, in 2015 we changed our name to Children Change Colombia. More recently, we have focused on programs that develop life skills of young girls to prevent their involvement with gangs, and preventing the exploitation of children from Afro-Colombian communities who are at risk of working in illegal mines.
Our current priorities are the rehabilitation and reintegration of demobilized young people, tackling gender-based and sexual violence, and guaranteeing access to education for children living in remote areas.
Over 30 years, we have allocated more than £13 million to support more than 50 partner organisations across the country, and have helped thousands of children and their families to redefine their present and future.
It's impossible to summarize in just one story the countless voices of so many children who have been given the opportunity to face and overcome difficult contexts.
Today, Children Change Colombia continues with more determination than ever in supporting, protecting and empowering children and the young people who have been affected by the most neglected issues in Colombia. Over the past 30 years, we have learned so much from our partners, the children and the communities that we have supported. Witnessing the impact that our work has had on their lives inspires us every day to continue our mission.
We won't stop here. We will continue to work for the children in Colombia who are facing adversity. We will strive to give them the opportunity to take their lives into their own hands, building their own destinies and transforming their communities and Colombia itself.
Thank you for that. You see a video of the 30 years of Children Change Colombia and why Children Change Colombia has come about. Right now, we're going to go over to Carolina Bejarano and Milo. Carolina is our fundraising executive, and indeed Milo is the fundraising intern, and they will give a presentation about some of the projects and some of the difficulties in Colombia. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carolina Bejarano, and I'm the fundraising coordinator at Children Change Colombia.
Hi, everybody. My name is Milo Winstone, and I'm the fundraising intern here at Children Change Colombia.
And today we are going to present you the issue of access to education in rural communities from the point of view of two case studies of two of our projects in Colombia. So welcome.
This is Tairuma, which means first daughter in her native language, Waijunaiki. She is 9 years old and was born in Boromana, a rural community in the region of La Guajira in northeastern Colombia near the border to Venezuela. This region is easily recognized by its desert landscape and because of its inhabitants, the largest indigenous group in Colombia, the Waju. Tairuma is in 3rd grade, and like most of the indigenous children here, she speaks mostly her native language, Waijunaiki, and is only now starting to learn Spanish as her second language. She studies with other Waju children from her community and from Venezuela, who have been forced to leave the country due to the ongoing humanitarian crisis. Tairoma goes to the only school in her community, which only educates children until the age of 11. This means that in a couple of years, Tairoma will have to travel to a neighboring community to be able to finish her education. There are no school transport services in these rural areas, and the public transport system is extremely limited. This is why many children here have to commute great distances in order to receive their education. Tairuma's primary school, like most rural schools in the region, has poor infrastructure, equipment, and learning resources. They have limited electricity and lack access to adequate technology like computers and the internet. Also, schools do not have access to drinking water or even enough clean water for basic hygiene like hand washing, so sanitation levels are extremely low. These issues not only affect the school, but the home as well. In the rural communities, Waju families have less access to food, water, and healthcare. This has contributed to one of the highest levels of child malnutrition in Colombia. This situation has been made worse by the Venezuelan migrant crisis. The influx of young people in La Guajira has meant that many schools are getting overwhelmed and simply do not have the capacity nor the resources to provide quality education to all. There are also other factors that impede the children's educational development. For many, it has been hard to escape the cycle of starting families. It has been normalized that young people sacrifice their education for the sake of raising children or finding work in other areas of the region from an early age. The fact that rural schools have been historically neglected here has created widespread demotivation amongst young people. Many simply do not view the education system as a genuine chance for a better future. All these difficulties have resulted in extremely high dropout rates. For children like Tairuma, it is difficult not because of their lack of desire or motivation, but instead because of the limited presence and resources of the schools in the region. Tairuma loves to study and learn new things, and in the future, she hopes to become a teacher herself and help her community.
This is Jair, who lives in an Afro-Colombian community alongside the San Juan River in Western Chocó, a region well known as one of the most biodiverse parts of our planet. Jair is 13 years old and was born and raised in one of the communities belonging to the municipality of Cucurrupi. This area in the rainforest is so remote that it can only be accessed by river. Similar to the situation in La Guajira, Jair's community has just one primary school, so he has to travel for around 30 minutes by boat to get to the only secondary school in the nearest village. Same as in La Guajira, schools here are often insufficient with limited resources. Many children from the community have never seen a computer before. They're working with outdated materials and there are not any basic necessities such as water or electricity. Teachers come from other cities to work here. They have to commute long distances by boat each week at tricky times. So often the school weeks ends up being only 3 or 4 days per week. Jair really loves studying and going to school, and he really wants to go to university in the future and become an engineer. But the biggest problem in the area for children like Jair is the activity of armed groups under control of their territory for illegal mining and coca crops. This situation is also creating an environmental crisis in the region. These armed groups are an ongoing presence in these communities, and they pose a significant threat to Chocó's young generation. The risk of recruitment is very high, and the unfortunate reality is that because of the conditions of poverty and the lack of opportunities, many, including Jair's and family members, are forced to drop out of school to go and work for the groups. Their domination in the area has meant that many children do not see education as a viable option to escape their situation. They are not motivated to go to school, and it feels better to seek sources of income elsewhere.
The reality is that in Colombia, around 70% of children and young people who do not have access to education come from rural and remote regions of the country. The state neglect, corruption, and marginalization has disproportionately affected Afro-Colombian and indigenous communities, especially in the poorest areas of the country like Chocó and La Guajira. These departments also have the highest illiteracy rates in the country. In 2018, over 10% of the population in these two regions did not know how to read or write. Here, rural schools have been historically neglected, under-resourced, underfunded, and understaffed. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated many of these existing problems in Colombia. The gap between rural and urban in terms of education has now become more evident than ever. Many schools in Colombia, since their closure in March last year, were forced to turn to online learning. However, in regions like La Guajira or Chocó, less than 2% of children living in rural homes have access to the internet. Children here are more at risk than ever and have seen their fundamental right to education jeopardized and disrupted. At Children Change Colombia, one of our priorities over the next 5 years is to support children like Tairuma and Jair and improve education programs that promote inclusive and quality learning opportunities for all.
This is why we work in La Guajira with our partner El Origen, so that 1,000 indigenous and migrant children can access quality education, improve their academic performance, and stay at school. The project provides tablets with the OLAP app, which is a learning platform that without the need of the internet, children can access educational material in Spanish and in their local indigenous language, Wayunaiki. OLAP app is a training platform with a curriculum that has been designed according to the needs of the local indigenous children. The training courses contain fun lessons, challenges, and assignments that help children stay motivated to develop self-study skills and digital literacy skills. Teachers also are trained on how to use the OLAP app and how to integrate it into their teaching methods. This project impacts students and teachers from 5 rural schools in La Guajira.
In Chocó, with our partner Acadasan, we are also giving access to this OLAP app to 200 children from 2 rural schools. Also, the project provides fun workshops to teach children about their Afro-Colombian heritage. It aims to educate them on their rights whilst also teaching them how to protect themselves and their natural environment from conflict and exploitation. In this way, it hopes to promote peaceful coexistence both inside and outside of the school. Acadasan, as part of the local government representatives in these communities, will work towards implementing their own pedagogical model in the schools. This community education project is built around the customs and cultural heritage of the Afro-descendant populations. It aims to revolutionize their education, protect their land, and to improve their standards of living.
So as you see, the overall purpose of these two projects is to provide inclusive and quality education resources for the most vulnerable children in Colombia, and to ensure they feel motivated to stay at school and develop their full potential to achieve their goals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you, Milo, for that presentation. Very important news there. We have a few short videos to follow where members of the Children Change Colombia team interview people who have been deeply involved in the charity for a long time. First off is our fundraising and communications intern, Poppy Purvis, who spoke to our star volunteer, Yvonne Velasquez.
Hi everyone, I'm Poppy. I was lucky enough to interview Yvonne, who is our star volunteer and has been supporting Children Change Colombia for over 20 years. Yvonne is from Cali and works as an official interpreter, translator and event coordinator, and is also involved in the Anglo-Colombian Society. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Hi, hello. First of all, actually, I would like to say a big thank you to you for naming this star volunteer. I felt honored and very humbled when I saw that listed on the website. And as they say, you know, like once a volunteer, always a volunteer. And believe me, 20 years, yes, time definitely flies. It seems just like yesterday. I will always wear this t-shirt with pride as a volunteer. As regards to a little bit about myself, yes, I am from Cali, and I have been here in the UK for a number of years, 25 plus or so. By profession, I am an official Spanish interpreter and translator, and also a cultural and event coordinator for some organizations.
How did you get involved with Children Change Colombia?
Well, back in early 2000, I think it was about 2002, I met the then director of Children of the Andes, or COTA as we called it, the wonderful Pilar Arango, at an embassy event. And she introduced me to the organization. And having heard of the great work that Jaime Jaramillo of Niños de los Andes was doing in Bogotá, I asked her if I could help in any way. Then we created a series of fundraising events and raise awareness events like the very first salsa party at El Barco Latino, and also the first Thames walk. And yeah, we started to build a great community of Latin American supporters that I am very pleased to say has grown greatly to what we have now at Children Change Colombia.
What does volunteering mean to you?
Volunteering doesn't mean to me, well, I mean, if we just go to the book, the textbook, it will be like volunteering is mainly giving time and sharing your skills to help a good cause. But it's actually, I would say, more than that, because it becomes a very rewarding and learning experience that often not only contributes to build a better future for many children in our case, but it also changes our own lives and our perception of the world. So it also enriches us by learning new skills and meeting along the way wonderful people who have the same empathy for others like you, and then in fact they end up becoming your close friends.
Could you tell us about a nice memory that you have of your time spent volunteering with us?
Perhaps I would like to highlight the one from the first years when I was more directly involved. This gave me the opportunity to visit the projects in Cali, like Hogares María Goretti, Formemos Futuro, Circo para Todos, and just to see where every penny goes, every penny that we fundraised that was going to those beautiful projects.
And what would you say to people who would like to volunteer for Children Change Colombia?
Well, okay, so wear this t-shirt with pride again. But what I would say is that back in 2019, when President Barack Obama was in Colombia on an official visit, he made some closing remarks at an event, which I believe illustrates what the work of Children Change Colombia. So if I may, I would like to share those remarks with you. If you want to change the world or something, start now. Every day you wake up, there is something we can do better. There is always something we can adopt, someone we can treat better, or any contribution we can make to our society. Begin the change now, and if you do, I promise you will be able to change Colombia and the world. And yes, that's what I would say to all who want to volunteer or to want to get involved in one way or the other with Children Change Colombia. I'm sure that between you and me, we could contribute to that change, either by being a volunteer, by a supporter or a fundraiser, or just participating in any of the events.
Thank you, Yvonne.
No, thank you. Hasta pronto. All the best.
Thank you to Poppy and of course to Yvonne for that small video about her involvement in Children Change Colombia. But of course, there have been so many other volunteers over the years, and it would be remiss of us to leave them unmentioned. And our heartfelt appreciation and gratitude also goes out to Gloria Grajales and Carolina Cordova, Sandra Prada, Sandra Montoya, Elena Garzón, Lina Lorea Portilla, Abjit Kapadia, Giovanna Andrade, Paula Galindo, Nicolas Felsing, Jo Estefania Maya, Mariani Foki, Benito Muchacho, and so many others. If we left you out, I apologize immensely. But yes, I'm now going to hand over to our project director in Colombia, Juan Sebastián Londoño Bustos, who will now talk a little bit about the issue of forced recruitment and the demobilization of minors in Colombia.
Thank you, Richard, for that introduction. As he well said, my name is Juan Sebastián Londoño. I'm a project director in Colombia, based in Bogota. And as part of my presentation regarding recruitment of young boys and girls into illegal armed groups, our intern, Papi Purvis, will tell us about the story of Kelly.
The story of Kelly, based on the comic Un Árbol Llamado Kevin. We live with my mum, Maritza, my dad, Aníbal, and my little brother, Steven. I always felt that my mum didn't trust me. She worked as a cook in a restaurant. She always got home tired from work, and she barely spoke to me when she looked after Steven. It was my turn to change him and feed him, and although it made me furious, I liked playing with babies. The problem was my dad. He was scary. Also, my uncle abused me, and my family didn't believe me. My parents would spend all their time fighting, so I'd go up to the roof to smoke in secret. I felt like I wasn't even worth a peso. And then, when I started slacking in school, it got worse. I went to parties instead of to lessons and started smoking marijuana and sniffing glue. Time went on and everything in the park was great, but everything at home was rubbish. My group of friends from the park became my family, and I started transporting drugs for the gang. There came a point when I felt like a caged bird. My mum left the house with my little brother, and my dad was under the influence, so he lost his job. I left home and lived on the streets for 8 months. The street is like a snake. It caresses you as if it embraces you, it teases you, makes you fall in love, and slowly starts hugging you without you realizing. Next thing you know, you're screwed, there's no escape. The street, the snake, swallows you up. I saw how that snake would swallow people up, and it really scared me. My mum helped me and told me that she knew a care home where they could help me. When I arrived at the care home, I began a routine again. You come out of there and believe that you can handle anything. However, the snake keeps calling you. I see ghosts from the past everywhere. Deep down, I don't know if anything has changed.
Thank you, Poppy. Well, what she has read is the story of Kelly. This was designed and it was written in the framework of our project with Tiempo de Juego. The name of the project is Cambio de Juego, and it depicts the life of a vulnerable girl who lives in a very complex context in which you can identify risk factors such as family violence, sexual abuse, drug smuggling, overall inequality, and lack of opportunities. And those are exactly the risks that we want to address with our partner and with our project. So for the last 4 years, we have reached the lives of 542 young boys and girls by preventing them to become involved with gangs and to reduce the risks that they are exposed to by promoting positive youth leadership, teaching them about the rights, and consolidating protective environments. We are working with the young boys and girls from the juvenile justice system, and we want to strengthen their psychosocial skills for them to successfully leave their care homes. But this is not the only project we have worked regarding the recruitment of illegal armed groups. We also have another partner, which we are very proud of. Is CRAN. And well, we have been working in Bogota and Villavicencio and Restrepo in Meta, providing foster homes and a program of psychosocial support for them to develop their life skills necessary to reintegrate into society. In this project, we are working with both boys and girls formerly associated to illegal armed groups and to those who are at risk of being part of these groups. This project also wants to advocate for employers, education providers, NGOs to eradicate the stigma and to ensure equal access to the services for the children that have been formerly associated to illegal armed groups. Since 2017, we have reached the lives of 490 young boys and girls. Lastly, with this project, we want to lobby public institutions to increase the protection and inclusion of this population. Sadly, we have faced the fact that there are still being active recruitment of young boys and girls in Colombia. There are two main obstacles for us to obtain accuracy and follow-up of the figures. Those two reasons are the lack of timely report and the fact that the prevention of recruitment is not part of the agenda in the national or local governments. Unfortunately, we are still facing unacceptable figures in the recruitment of young boys and girls into these groups. As you can see, the most affected age range is the one that goes from 15 to 17 years old. Geographically, we also face serious obstacles. The departments with the most reported cases are Antioquia, Chocó, Meta, and Caquetá, and up to 184 municipalities have been categorized as presenting a high risk for our young boys and girls. We have to take into account also the fact that not only Colombian nationals are being recruited into these groups, but also migrants, especially from Ecuador and Venezuela. More than half of the municipalities that are classified as rural and dispersed rural show a high risk of recruitment, and also the lowest averages of education coverage and the highest of multidimensional poverty, which brings us to the table that this is a systemic problem that we have to address in a systemic way, in a complex manner. Lastly, we have to take into consideration the cross-cutting issue of the pandemic that has made the populations of young boys and girls more vulnerable to recruitment. Thank you. Back to you, Richard.
Thank you, Juan, for that presentation there, and thank you, Poppy, again for the narration of the story there. Our next short interview is by Becky Schlesinger, who is the Children Change Colombia Fundraising and Communications Officer, and who spoke to trustee Felipe Alviar Vaquero.
Hi everyone, I'm Becky and I had the chance to interview one of our trustees. So not many people know about the role of the trustees within an organisation, and what better way to find out what goes on behind the scenes than to interview one of our longest standing trustees, Felipe. So Felipe has worked in some of the most prestigious law firms around the world and has been with CCC for over 10 years. So here is my interview with Felipe. So Felipe, in your opinion, what is the role of a trustee?
Well, the role of a trustee, especially with Children Change Colombia, is really to assist our team and to give them as much direction as possible so that they can do the excellent work that they do. I always say to trustees when they come into the board that really the ball stops with us. You know, if something goes wrong, we really are the ones that will have the whole responsibility for the charity. But we really are there just to support and give anything that the team needs for direction or help, so that we have the charity that we want to have and meet the objectives that we have.
And why have you dedicated your spare time to this cause?
Look, when I remember very vividly when they asked me if I wanted to become a trustee of Children Change Colombia, and they told me the role that the charity played and why the charity existed. And you just know that is the right thing to do, to give a little bit of your time for children that need you. And it's such a great cause with a great team to be able to just spend some time on things that you really, really are passionate about and that you can help. And it's so important, it really makes a difference for some people.
And why do you think it's important to have a UK charity working for children in Colombia?
You know, you ask a question that is a very important question, because Children Change Colombia was born in the UK and it has been always based mainly in the UK. But I think that mainly, I think the three reasons. One, I think there are very strong links between Colombia and the UK. Two, I think there are a lot of people in the UK that really mind about the well-being of children. And I think that three, it doesn't matter whether you are in the UK, Australia, or the US. The idea is to ensure that children can live safely and can develop and have all the opportunities that can be given. And it doesn't matter where you are. What matters is that, you know, as a charity and as people, we just help kids anywhere in the world.
And what do you think has enabled Children Change Colombia to keep thriving for 30 years?
Well, again, one is the team. We have been blessed with an excellent team from anybody that has been passed through Children Change Colombia as a team member, as a volunteer. see the excellent work that people do, and is that common objective. I think that's the most important thing, is a common objective to ensure that the work that we do has a real impact on the children that we work with and the charities that we help and the people that we work with. And it's people. The key to our success is a team of people with a common objective, and that is to give kids or children in Colombia the best life that we can give them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky, and thank you, Felipe, for that presentation and interview there. So we're going to pass over now to our executive. Before we have another video interview recorded by the team, we'll pass over to Executive Director Angela Carreño, who will speak about the pressing issue of sexual exploitation, the problems of sexual exploitation of minors in Colombia, and the work being done by two of our partners in Colombia.
Thank you, Richard. So I'm going to talk about sexual and commercial exploitation and what we are doing to prevent that this happened to children in Colombia. But first, I would like to ask you to close your eyes. You are at your home, so no worries. Close your eyes, have a deep breath. Imagine that you're in the park of your childhood. And what does the sound remind you of? What does this sound remind you of? If you are from the UK, probably this, sorry. So, if you're from the UK, probably this is the image that will come to your mind. The ice cream man in the ice cream van. If you are from Colombia, like me, this is the image that will come to your mind. The ice cream man in the ice cream bike. It's not as fancy as the van, but it's also very delicious. But unfortunately, for many children in their parks where they play, there are not the ice cream man or the ice cream van or the ice cream bike. It's a pimp who is there, offering them and trying to convince them that it's a good opportunity for them and bringing to the commercial and sexual exploitation. And this is the reality for around 35,000 children in Colombia that are victims or survivors of sexual and commercial exploitation. This is a figure that the government, the Instituto Colombiano de Bienestar Familiar, has calculated, estimated. So that's why we have been working with our partners in Colombia to prevent this horrible crime. In Bogota, with ACJ or YMCA, we had been working since 2004 in the neighborhoods of Santa Fe and Martires. This is the light red district in Colombia, in Bogota, where prostitution is legal, so children see them every day. So we work with the schools, with the commercial establishments, with the leaders, with the families to prevent that this happens to them in Bogota. In Quibdó, we have been working with Círculo de Estudios since 2016. We work in the neighborhoods where most of the families come from internally displaced people. The economic background and the difficulties of the area also make that the children are at risk of sexual exploitation, and some of them have been survivors of this horrible crime. And in Cartagena, as you know, is the most touristy city of Colombia, but also has the 70% of the population lives under poverty levels. That makes a perfect scenario for sex and tourism. And that's why this year we also start working in this city. We have been working on this project, as I mentioned, since 2004, but now we have a new project that we are very happy that we launched 3 months. That is a triennial project where we're gonna be working in these 3 cities. And what will we do? What's the project about? So we work with the children. There are 450 children that are attending this project, participating in the project. We have face-to-face activities or online activities where we teach them self-care, self-protection, knowledge of their rights. They have activities with dance, with music to explore, to improve their self-esteem and to know how to prevent that they are victims of this horrible crime, and also where they can go to talk if this happens. How also with some of the children that are victims, they receive psychological support from a specialist, and their families also have this support. We also help them to find their voice and find leaders in the community so they can have access to meet local leaders and work on defending their rights. So there is a sustainability, and there's also incidents in the political area. For example, this group is children in Quibdó. As I mentioned, they have been working in the project since 2016. And 15 of these children prepare a presentation called El Bunde del Agua. And they will go in October to Paris to present what they have been doing. The first time they will be in a plane, the first time they will travel abroad. So this is how we are helping them and how they are showing to the world what they do, their rights and their happiness. We also work with the families because it's very important to include them in the projects. We're working with 250 family members. So they learn about reduction of gender violence, sexual violence, and sexual exploitation. They know how to prevent that the children fell into these networks. And also we work with the leaders. It's important that the local leaders, the teachers, the people that are in the neighborhoods and the cities we work are aware of this, and that way there is a strong network that prevented the children fell into commercial and sexual exploitation. Finally, in Bogota, we also have one component on livelihoods, where we help families and young people to show them there are other ways of livelihoods and other options of life. For example, here is a workshop and they are learning how to prepare hygiene items, or these children are learning some IT skills. So we asked at the beginning of this year to one of our children in Chocó to paint their neighborhood, what they want to have close to them. And this child painted school, a park with flowers, with children, where there is peace and joy. And if we are able to build this world, it can be as sweet as the ice cream wherever truck it comes in. So we wanted to film some of these projects in Bogota, but as you know, there is strikes and there is a pandemic, so it was not possible. But our partner in Bogota, CJ, sent us a very nice surprise, a video where they are singing Happy Birthday to Children Change Colombia. Thank you very much, Marta, and our children's in Colombia. Let's listen to the video they sent to us.
Gracias por apoyar a nuestro talento.
Children Change Colombia.
Gracias por motivarme hoy a aprender. Feliz cumpleaños le deseo a usted.
Children Change Colombia.
Lo va a amanecer. Gracias por apoyar a nuestro talento.
Children Change Colombia.
Gracias por motivarme hoy a aprender. Feliz cumpleaños te deseo.
Ok, mi gente, muchas gracias. Nunca voy a terminar, muchas gracias. Les desea técnica vocal. Compañía de grupo de música. Feliz cumpleaños te desea. Ok, mi gente, muchas gracias. Voy a terminar, muchas gracias.
Oye, la Fundación Amanecer, diciéndote presente para todas ustedes.
Thank you so much, Angela, and thank you for that that video. I didn't expect it at all. So now it's time to move on, and we're going to hear Grace Ramsey, who's our fundraising and communication officer. She interviewed Maria Teresa Soliman, who has, of course, supported Children Change Colombia since the very beginning. So over to you, over to the video with Grace.
Hi everyone, I'm Grace and I have the pleasure of interviewing Maria Teresa Soliman. She is Colombian, based in London, and has been supporting Children Change Colombia since the charity was founded in 1991. She is Managing Director of Solomon Travel, who are one of our amazing corporate partners. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Would you be able to start with telling us a little bit about yourself?
Grace, good morning, good afternoon to you. First of all, thank you, Children Change Colombia, for the opportunity of give me to give this interview. I am originally from Colombia, and I came to the UK to finish my postgraduate studies. I met my husband, then I had married, had my 3 children. And while I was a student, I had a great opportunity to travel a lot. As you know, the students in the UK had a lot of holidays. Around 42 years ago, I found the Solomon Travel in order to continue exploring and capitalizing on my passion for traveling, seeing the world, learning about different cultures, and connecting communities.
And you've been with Children Change Colombia from the very beginning. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your earliest memories of what was then Children of the Andes.
Right. You are right. I had been lucky enough to learn about your projects and work since right at the beginning when you were called Children of the Andes. There are too many memories, really, to mention a specific one, but what I have always been impressed is the great commitment and joy of all your team and supporters in all the work you do, and all the wonderful fundraising events you do, and when so many of them, Solomon Travel had the chance to participate. This obviously leads to sustainability results and had a real impact on the life of the young people in Colombia, especially.
And Solomon Travel has been a donor of CCC for 30 years. What inspired you to continue supporting our work for so long?
Well, as I mentioned before, I really was, and I continue impressed of the commitment all the team has in Children Change Colombia. We participate and donate in many charities, but really your charity is very close to our hearts. First of all, because I am a great believer that the society should be global, and you can show to us that with all your supporters from different backgrounds, you are achieving in Colombia to give the young people the opportunity to grow up and being participated in the society. And I think that is very important because they are the pillars of our future society.
Absolutely. And you've visited some of our projects in Colombia. What impact did you feel Children Change Colombia has had on the lives of children?
It was a real privilege for me and my daughter to visit a project in 2019 in the Barrio Santa Fe. And I was really humbled to be welcomed by the community and to have the chance to interact with them, to talk to them, to see their expectations, what they expect really from Children Change Colombia. And I was really happy to see that what you show us here that you wanted to do there is really getting reality there. So it was very, very important for me to see that you don't keep only on the words, you really go to the action. So it's very, very good projects.
Great, thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, Grace, for this opportunity.
Thank you to Grace, and thank you, of course, to Maria Teresa Soliman for that recording, that video recording. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the Help Colombia COVID-19 campaign. And this has been especially active, obviously. Children Change Colombia has been active during this pandemic, which according to Colombia's statistics department, the DANE, has seen an increase in poverty to now include 42.5% of a population of roughly 50 million people. So that's 21 million people, of whom 7.4 million now exist in extreme poverty. So Victoria Armfield, who is Children Change Colombia's finance officer, will talk to us a little bit about how the charity has been working towards helping some of the most at-risk and vulnerable people and communities.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria, and as Richard mentioned, I'm the finance manager of Children Change Colombia. I live in Southwest London, though I'm originally from Australia. I have the pleasure of telling you about our successful Help Colombia COVID-19 campaign, which we launched in April of last year, soon after the outbreak of coronavirus. I'm happy to report we had a wonderful response to this campaign. We raised £12,000 from our loyal and generous supporters, along with a significant institutional donation. These funds enabled us to launch significant activities throughout 2020 until the end of February 2021, providing much needed support to those affected in Colombia by the COVID epidemic. The activities we carried out included supporting families in Bogota with housing payments to keep a roof over the heads of those who lost their income due to COVID. We provided remote psychosocial support for children and young people, keeping them safe from the increased risks that the epidemic brought. We sent packages of food, toiletries, dignity kits, PPE, and first aid items to many communities in Quibdó, Chocó, and Bogota, as well as over 100 computer tablets to children and their families to support home learning throughout the epidemic. Overall, the donations from this appeal improved the lives of over 27,000 people in Colombia, so you can see what a difference we can make. To finish, I'd like to extend a huge thank you to all of our supporters, donors, and collaborators, everyone who contributed to this and any of our other campaigns. Thank you very much. Back to you, Richard.
Thank you so much for that, Victoria. Now it's time for our final video here. It's a testimony from a beneficiary of the project Tiempo de Juego. And so we're going to hear Sandra Quinchoa talking a little bit from Colombia, from Bogota.
Sorry, Richard, we have a problem with the video, but we can go with the questions then, and then we will finish with the video. So we have just, okay, it's ready, the video. So we're gonna play the video.
Hola, mi nombre es Sandra Quinchoa, tengo 22 años, les vengo a hablar un poquito de estas organizaciones que me ayudaron a salir de mi zona de confort, de progresar. Yo conocí a la Fundación Tiempo de Juego en el 2018 en el hogar femenino. Hoy en día se llama La Esmeralda. Bueno, yo conocí a esta organización allá, el cual ellos iban a motivar a los jóvenes que hacíamos parte del programa RCPA, que significa Sistema Responsabilidad para Adolescentes. Allá hacíamos todo lo que tiene que ver con la parte artística, la parte de deporte y bueno, allá ellos iban y nos motivaban, los ayudaban a salir adelante y no seguir como en esa zona. Yo salí de allá y después de que salí de allá conocí a una organización que se llama Fundación Nuevamente, el cual también van de la mano con Tiempo de Juego. Después de que conocí a esta organización, volví a estar dentro de Tiempo de Juego, volví a conocer pues a varios chicos del equipo, ya comenzamos a hacer grupos, a hacer retos, varias actividades para ayudarnos y también nos ayudaron con mucha oportunidad de estudio y a vinculación laboral. Después de que nosotros seguimos con Tiempo de Juego, ellos nos ayudaron a conseguir medias becas para trabajar con Disruptia. Nos ayudaron a vincular laboralmente. Hoy en día pues me encuentro trabajando con ellos en la parte de manejo de bases de datos. Puesto a esto pues es una motivación, me ayuda a salir de mi zona de confort que llevaba, de que salir a delinquir, porque uno sale de allá con una mano atrás y otra adelante. Entonces, gracias a ellos, me di la oportunidad de estudiar y de trabajar. Pues ahorita estoy como lideresa manejando la parte de datos, lidero como otra chica con la que estoy. Entonces, soy como lideresa enseñándole a ella. Igual la opinión de ella para mí es muy válida y seguimos ahí. En este proceso me ayudó, fue un impacto muy grande para mí porque salí de lo que pensaba que nunca más iba a volver a salir. Cambió mi vida, dio un giro extraordinario en mi vida, una historia que hoy en día, algún día quisiera contarla y le doy gracias, les agradezco de antemano al Children Change Colombia y a Tiempo de Juego. También les deseo un feliz cumpleaños a Children Change Colombia y mil gracias también por estar ahí muy al pendiente de estos procesos y de nosotros los jóvenes que salimos de allá.
Well, that was Sandra Quinchoa there, giving us a little bit of background in her story and how it's changed her life, Children Change Colombia. So now we have time for some questions, of course. So we'll take those now. We'll look in the chat and see how we can answer questions for you. Any questions that remain unanswered, we will send in the email that it will go out to each and every one of you. Thank you again.
So the first question is for Carolina. Marilyn asks, these are great projects focusing on inclusive education. Who designed the Ola app? Can you tell us a little bit more about the content and how it works?
Sure. So the Ola app has been designed and developed by our project partner El Origen, which is a leading young people's organization. They all come from La Guajira, from this region, and some of them, they have a background on IT. So they decided to create this technology to give something back to the region and to help their communities. El Origen, it's like an initiative that actually has been recognized internationally by many institutions like the Obama Foundation, the UN, the United States Institute for Peace. And basically, this is an app that, without the need of the internet, can be installed on tablets, and it has a wide range of offline educational materials in subjects such as math, literature, science, technology, engineering, arts, English, and life skills. These modules, they are really flexible and they have been developed in partnership with high quality universities like Los Andes, for example, in Colombia, and Oxford. It also has the Saber 11, Saber 11, which are the Colombian state exams. So that will help students to be better prepared for the exam. And also, like, this technology is really flexible, and the main add value that it has is that all the content is really adapted to different cultural context. So yeah, that's a little bit more about the OLAP app. If you have further questions, we can just like talk a little bit more.
Okay, so the next question is for Juan. Joyce asks, how can we partner in the projects? El Rio Foundation is located in the rural area of Santa Marta, Colombia, and we have several social projects and we want to have a collaboration with you.
Yes, well, I think that the first step would be to determine if what this organization does and develops is in line with our 3 prioritized unattended issues, which, as Angela said, will be access to education, the prevention of recruitment into armed illegal groups, and the prevention of sexual commercial exploitation of children and young people. That would be the first approach. Later on, if determining if we could develop jointly a project, the next step would be to determine a meeting, and we would do a preliminary diagnostic of the capacities of our potential partner, and then we would make the decision collectively with this potential partner if we are able to work and co-execute a potential project. Thank you.
Okay, and then we've got one last question for Angela. Nick says, how have you been doing with corporate involvement donations? Surely a partnership with CCC is a wonderful way of giving back.
Thanks for that question. As you saw in this presentation, we have had corporate donors that have been with us for many, many years, as Solomon Travel, who has been supporting us since the first day. Luckily, we also have new corporate donors that have been supporting us from the last year. Some of them are here, Edcolatam, Lit Lats, and Not What Been. Well, I excuse me if I cannot mention all of them, but it's very easy to support us. Doesn't matter, you don't need to be a huge multinational organization, and we have received and support from big organizations that can give us thousands of pounds, but you can be also a small one and say, I can commit to give £100 a month. You can choose the project you would like to support, and we will be giving you reports all the time. Our 30 years of experience show us how can we provide all the information. We have a team in Colombia, so we have real figures of the impact. That's how we have been showing you. We really know what's going on, and we can show you how the support you are giving is transforming lives in Colombia. We are going to also launch a new corporate strategy next month. So if you're interested, please send me an email, angela.carreno@childrenchangecolombia.org, or send an email to info@childrenchangecolombia.org, and we will start a conversation. We are happy to support you. We post and we promote the people that are supporting us. Your company will be in our newsletter and our social media and our webpage. So if you think you have a big or small company and you believe that this cause that's helping children in Colombia is something that you're interested, please contact us.
Thank you again to all of those of you who sent in questions. If there are, of course, any more questions, send them in to Angela at info@childrenchangecolombia.com. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of you who've participated in this, the team, and indeed all of those of you who have tuned in. There's a great number of you, and that shows that we're on the right track, and that what is being done, of course, is something that you can get behind. And thank you for the messages of support that I can see here in the chat. So I will sign off now and again, just say, please, follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook and Twitter and so on, and spread the word so that Children Change Colombia can continue helping the most vulnerable and at-risk communities in this country. Thank you again.